all of the quote unquote better actors I'm taking earlier, because I guess I'm thinking in more of a draft than in a top ranked.
Okay.
Because I didn't want. Oh wait, this isn't really a draft.
No, this is ranked.
Because I'm an idiot. I've been listening to too much All Fantasy Everything. I was thinking I can't take ones that you take, but we can take the same. I'm so sorry I messed it all up.
Why do you ruin every episode, man?
I'm sorry.
All right, and here we go. It is time for another episode of Kash's Top 5. This one has been in the works for quite a while, and I'm still not 100% sure that I have my list in the correct order that I want it to be. Joining me today, back on the show, I believe leading everybody in appearances now, my sister Melinda. Hello.
Hello. I just realized, should I get headphones for audio quality, or does this sound okay?
You sound fine. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, no. I'm just wondering if it's.
Can you hear me? Can you? Oh.
I'm trying to help you improve your. Yeah, doesn't matter.
No, it needs a lot of help, and I appreciate that. But no, I can hear you just fine, and as long as you can hear me, we're good.
Okay, great. And I agree with you. I've been agonizing over my list, and we've been talking about doing this for a long time now. So I've been keeping a list updated and changing it over the weeks or months, and then today when it's okay, we're recording, I'm well, shit, now I have to let me look at it one more time. And I still don't know if it's an accurate representation, but it feels like me, so I'm happy with it. Let's just
go ahead and tell everybody what we're doing. We are ranking a top 10 today. It's a special episode. It's not a top 5 because that really would be impossible. We're ranking our top 10. What are we doing?
We're doing actors, stars of stage and screen.
And not stage and not TV screen. These are just movie actors, right?
I mean, yeah. It would be funny if I was oh, mine are Broadway stars.
That's cool. I guess I'd pick Emmy Rossum, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed. How do you know her?
All right. Thank you, Jessica Murphy. Appreciate that.
Oh, and let's not forget Adele Dazeem. The greatest Broadway actress of our time.
Keep Idina Menzel's name out your mouth.
Oh no.
We want to be topical. We want to be current. Yeah, right? Nobody's tired of that by now.
When John Travolta said Adele Dazeem, it felt like a slap in the face.
The best part of that is I was with you at our folks' house watching that happen live, and you literally fell out of your chair and rolling on the floor laughing because it was just that funny.
It is I'm not exaggerating, maybe the greatest moment of my life. Oh, I love it so much.
All right. So I'm guessing John Travolta didn't make your list.
There we go. No, not on my list. He's a creepy man. I do not like him.
Oh, Danny Zuko, man, he's nice.
Well, yeah, but then he became a Scientologist, like Will Smith.
Which we're going to avoid talking about for a couple of our picks, I hope.
Oh.
Because I don't care about that stuff most of the time.
Okay, so first pick is Giovanni Ribisi.
No, but he is a good actor. I do enjoy him.
I do like him, yeah.
Okay, because we're going to name 50 billion actors now. Let's go ahead and start it off. Number 10, who do you have?
Okay, so for my number 10, and oddly enough, I think this is a very left field pick, but it's my number one pick that I'm worried. Okay, let me just say, I don't think we're going to have a lot of crossover.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. We're not going to have a lot of crossover. And I don't think in a million years people would put this guy on their top 10 best actors list, but it's the one that I think we might have in common, and it's Steve Zahn.
Oh, man.
There we go.
That's such a good pick. And I don't know that I would. Yeah.
Wildly underrated.
Yes. I think what hurts him is he's been in a couple of bad movies. And honestly, that's the case for my number 10 is he's been in some stuff that's like,
yeah, the filmography is not there, but the talent absolutely is.
Oh my God, just for his appearance in That Thing You Do alone.
Exactly.
Is
Lenny is one of the best characters of all time. And he's just got this face and this aura and this energy. And I feel like he can kind of do it all. When he's in a role, he's very committed. And I don't know if you're going to do this, but I definitely I take into account who they are outside of their acting career. And apparently he's like this awesome hippie dude that has a farm in Tennessee and just like doesn't live in Hollywood and just seems like a rad dude.
Yeah, I want to say his wife is from Kentucky, and so they have land in Kentucky and in Tennessee, so they're rural Midwestern folk, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
man, that's really good. Yeah, and I guess I'm curious to see how your list takes shape, because when I looked at it, there are certain actors that I really love, but it was because of like one role. There are also actors that it's always them. Like Samuel L. Jackson didn't make my top 10, but I absolutely love him, but he's always Samuel L. Jackson in everything he does.
Yeah. I have an honorable mention that's like that.
Yeah. Our honorable mention lists are going to be pretty long, I would imagine.
Oh, it's a mile long. Yeah.
But man, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I say that to say also actors who appear in our favorite movies. So if you look at You've Got Mail, I think that weights his importance, because not only is he great, but he's also in a cornerstone movie for you.
Correct. And we should mention now that we have taken Tom Hanks off the table.
Yeah, we ranked our top 5, well, my top 5, your top 4 favorite Tom Hanks movies of all time. And I think he would probably be like a universal. I think he would make my top 10 genuinely, but I'd have to think about it because I really love my top 10. So
no, he makes mine by default. That's why he was the first draft I chose to do with you.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about Tom Hanks right now. Steve Zahn, also a star of You've Got Mail.
So very similar. My number 10 for you is he's been in some screwball stuff. He's usually the comic relief, and that's kind of, that they don't really honor that when it comes to like the Academy Awards, like the funny versus the real dramatic. But Michael Pena is just so great in everything I see him in. He always steals the show for me.
Wait, who is that?
Hold on. I should have had this ready because I didn't think, I thought you may not know who he is.
No, I think that I do.
You know who he is.
I'm worried that I'm confusing him with someone else. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
He broke in Crash. He broke in, he was in Buffalo Soldiers. He was in, what was the Clint Eastwood movie? $1 Million Baby. He was Omar. But then
talk about range.
He was in a lot of serious stuff, but then he's in like Observe and Report, a super dumb Seth Rogen movie. He was in Shooter with Mark Wahlberg. He was in Ant-Man. He was the comic relief opposite Paul Rudd. And he's just always very, very funny. When he has a comedic role, he always nails it. And that's tough to do when you're the comic relief. The line, Observe and Report is really, I do not care for it. But there are some funny moments. And he has this sheen afro and a lisp that he adopted for the role. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Ronnie, there's nothing good about this at all. Like the way he just delivers lines, and he's like, what, like the looks he does, I love him and everything he does, and I couldn't keep him out of my top 10.
I am shocked. Speechless. No, I mean, I absolutely believe you, and I haven't seen everything he's done, but he is a great actor. I wish I had more of an opinion to give, but I don't know him that well.
Sure. And that's part of I think that's part of like the drawback is he's done some really great dramatic work. He's been in a lot of indie stuff, kind of like Luis Guzman, a similar Hispanic actor, where he's been like the comic relief, or he's like the Hispanic archetype in certain things, but then he's done
Mhm.
like Paul Thomas Anderson stuff, indie stuff, where he had really good roles. So there's a lot more to Michael Pena than the goofy stuff that he's done. That's
Mhm.
why I included him, because like I said, almost across the board, when he's on screen or when he's in something, I'm always drawn to just watching what he's doing.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, Steve Zahn. I get it.
Yeah. So number 9.
Okay, so number 9. Oh, okay, so wildly opposite. Viola Davis.
Okay.
I mean, not that I need to justify this pick. I certainly hope you agree.
No,
She
you're gonna
is
need to convince me. I don't know that I've seen enough from Viola Davis.
um she is I I'm every time I see her, I'm shook. She is everything. Did you see her as Michelle Obama?
I have not.
Oh gosh. Okay. So, well, the movie's not out yet, but it's just the poster. And it's
Oh,
like,
then yeah, I've seen
yeah,
that. Yeah.
it was such, I mean, not that, I mean, that's probably more like hair and makeup department gets the credit for that. But also, she she can transform herself. She's a great actress. But it was a mind trip. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm looking at Michelle Obama or Viola Davis. Like, but anyway, and like I just remember seeing Doubt was the first time I was like blown away by her. And I mean, she does do prestige TV more so than films. How to Get Away with Murder. I know people could like make fun of it as like a silly, scandal type drama show, like, Shonda Rhimes, Grey's Anatomy kind of thing. But
Mhm.
it's legitimately, she's so good in it. And like, I don't know. I just love her so much. That's my waterfall of love for Viola Davis.
I
Do you
honestly
like her?
thought she was going to rank higher for you. Like I kind of thought she would make your list, and I thought she might be higher, but
Well, I'm being strategic because she's to me so undeniably great that I thought she might be on your list too.
um, no. And I think part of the problem is what I've seen. I've seen her in certain things, but there's a lot of her stuff that I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I remember, because it's always interesting, like when a trailer comes out and you see like it could be a period piece, it could be a real dramatic, either a political drama or more of a social drama, or like an action. Like Widows was like a Liam Neeson type action shoot 'em up type movie,
Mm-hmm.
and she can just plop into any kind of story, and it just makes
Oh
sense. Like
yeah.
she seems
Fences,
seamlessly,
like,
yeah.
yeah, she can do it
The
all.
Help.
I was gonna say, if you can do The Help and Fences and Doubt and How to Get Away with Murder, and yeah, no, she's, yeah,
It's
A
pretty great.
plus.
Number 9 for you is another kind of character actor, but he was able to get his own show, which is rare for character actors.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy Oliphant is my number 9. Uh, I don't know why you're shaking your head at my list. I mean,
No,
these are my
he's,
favorite actors.
yeah, he's good.
Did you
Go ahead.
watch Did you watch Justified?
No.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you've only seen him in, Rockstar or The Girl Next Door, then you're only going to know him as those kind of bit characters. But
He was in
he's
a Vin Diesel movie. I'm not sure which one of the really bad ones I had to watch. So that was like my first introduction to him. And his name is hard for me to pronounce.
I'll give you that.
Oliphant?
Oliphant.
Oliphant?
Oliphant.
Oliphant?
Oliphant.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
he was in A Man Apart. That's the Vin Diesel.
Yes, which was very mid.
Sure. Well, when
Okay,
you
so Justified. What else is what's like what blew you away that he did?
So I originally really liked him in the early 2000s stuff, that when I was, obviously a teenager and going through adolescence, I saw him in Gone in 60 Seconds. I saw him in Rockstar. I saw him in Girl Next Door. He was in Go, which I guess was late 90s. So there's a lot of really cool stuff like that. He did some bad stuff, like A Man Apart sucked. He was Hitman, and I think the sequel to Hitman, the Mark Wahlberg movie. So like he's got some dreck. But when I watched him in, because he's the villain in Girl Next Door, and then he's in Deadwood, and he's really great in Deadwood. Because he was the sheriff there, Seth Bullock. And then he became he was a marshal in Justified, which was like 2010 to 2015, that range there. And he was Raylan Givens, and that show was just phenomenal. I mean, Walton Goggins was a great Boyd Crowder. He was the villain foil to Tim, but he's just got this aura of coolness about him. He can be kind of funny. He can be kind of slickster. He's got a nice grin. He's got the cool guy thing. And he's been different characters. He can be the slimy jerk. He can be, he was in the rock band, he was in Rockstar, so he was playing a musician. He's a deputy marshal. Like there's a nice range there, and he just seems like a really cool guy. And when we talk about on-screen versus off-screen, he's like best friends with Conan O'Brien. So every time he goes on Conan, he's like pals with Andy. They have a lot of inside jokes. He's like Mr. Joe Cool, and just very, very, very funny. He tells some awesome stories on Conan.
I didn't realize that. I'll have to watch those clips.
They're great on YouTube.
Is he Righteous Gemstones?
I don't think so.
I keep seeing, and I've only watched the part of the first season, but there's a guy who looks like he might be Timothy Oliphant in Righteous Gemstones with crazy hair. Are you Googling it right now?
I've got his Wikipedia up. No, he's not in Righteous Gemstones.
All right, then I'm wrong. But that guy's great, whoever that is.
Cool. There's just a lot of cool stuff that he's done that I had forgotten about as I pull up his list. But yeah, my number 9, Timothy Oliphant.
Okay, if you say so. Once again, we're not going to have a lot of crossover. But at least I'm not anti. I just don't know. I'm uninitiated.
Number 8, what do we got?
Well, this is no surprise. This is my boy, love of my life, amazing Oscar winner, J.K. Simmons.
Who?
How dare you?
Another one I thought would be higher. I'm curious to see what this top 5 is going to shape up to be.
Well, the thing is, I'm going almost in like ascending or descending or ascending, however you want to look at it, order, because all of the quote unquote better actors I'm taking late, like earlier, because I guess I'm thinking in more of a draft than in a top, like ranked.
Okay.
Because I didn't want. Oh wait, this isn't really a draft.
No, this is ranked.
Because I'm an idiot. I've been listening to too much All Fantasy Everything. I was thinking I can't take ones that you take, but we can take the same. I'm so sorry I messed it all up.
Why do you ruin every episode, man?
I'm sorry.
Is that why you're giving me weird looks for my picks?
Well, no, not necessarily. I just no.
Because no offense to Michael Payne or Timothy Oliphant, but I'm not taking them first or second overall.
Well, okay, yeah. My order is it's a little weird now. It's fine. I stand by all of these. It doesn't matter. Okay. But I did think of it. I approached it incorrectly. I'm sorry. Anyway, J.K. Simmons is a great actor. Yep. Baldy from Baltimore. I don't know if he's from Baltimore. He's Whiplash. That's just all I have to say is Whiplash. My God, that's one of my favorite performances of all time. I love him so much.
Yeah, that's one where he's an honorable mention for me. He's got such a phenomenal role in Whiplash. And I like a lot of the other stuff he's done, but it wasn't enough for me to put him into the top 10. Like when I think of J.K. Simmons, I think Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man movies. I think of the dad from Juno. He's Paul Rudd's dad, and I Love You, Man. So like there's these random bits and pieces that I remember. He was the really bad guy in Oz. I don't know if you ever watched that show back in the day.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Little rough seeing him like
Mhm.
that. You're like, what? JK, what are you doing, man? But that one role, it's kind of like for me, Daniel Day-Lewis, widely regarded as one of the greatest actors, if not the greatest actor ever. He's got multiple Best Actor awards, like 3 or 4 now.
Mhm.
I really love Daniel Plainview and There Will Be Blood, but the rest of it, I'm like, it's good. It's not for me.
I'm surprised he's not on your list. Okay.
He almost did. He's an honorable mention, but again, there's just not when you look at his body of work, like Lincoln and Last of the Mohicans and Phantom Thread, like there's just some stuff that I'm like, eh. And I hated Gangs of New York. I didn't care. I thought Bill the Butcher was a good character. I thought it was decent. But Daniel Plainview and There Will Be Blood blew me away. The rest of the stuff for me just didn't hit as much. I'm impressed with what he does, but these are my favorites. These aren't who I think are the best of all time. These are who are going to get me to a theater, who's going to connect me to the movie, who do I enjoy watching, and I think really have some good talent. Now, Daniel obviously does, and I think J.K. Simmons does too. But again, I think one solid, just unbelievable performance. I needed just a little more.
I honestly don't disagree with you. Like, I'm not watching Juno being like, oh my God, he's the greatest actor of our time.
Yeah. He's great in that. He's great in that role.
He is. And honestly, everything he does, I think he is great at. But it's to me, Whiplash was enough to like push it over the edge for me, where I just saw him in a different light, and I just became obsessed, and I think he's wonderful. And I've seen that movie maybe 20 times. I love it so much. Yeah.
Okay, my number 8 for you, and this is not a draft, so this is just
I'm so sorry.
a guy I like.
Such an idiot.
No, it's fine. I had Michael Pena, I had Timothy Olyphant. You had reservations on both those picks, so I'm curious to see what you think about this guy who is probably not known as a, well received or beloved, all-time great actor. But my number 8 is Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that hack. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's, of course, it goes without saying.
It's, he was one that I really wrestled with, because I feel like he's one that I unfairly put in a box of. I feel like I'm always watching Denzel, but that is really not the case, and no disrespect to Samuel L. Jackson, because there are nuances to his roles. You take a look at Black Snake Moan versus Pulp Fiction versus Mace Windu. I mean, there's some range there. And maybe it's just because I can't take the Samuel L. out of it. It's kind of like Jeff Goldblum. I don't care what character he plays. I just see Jeff Goldblum. But Denzel, when you look at Training Day, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, I think it's a fantastic movie. That's a great villain that he plays, one of the best all time, versus, A Soldier in Glory, versus the head coach, Coach Boone in Remember the Titans, versus his, detective shoot 'em up stuff in the mid 2000s. I mean, and then he just was in Macbeth with Franny McD. And I just, there's so much range there. He's just so cool. I recently watched for the first time. I hadn't watched it, and I don't know why, but Philadelphia. I had just not watched it until probably a year ago for the first time. Tom Hanks and Denzel.
Really? Wow.
Really, it had just missed me. And incredible movie, incredible performances. And again, this is another role where I just hadn't seen that shade of him. And Book of Eli, I think is an underrated movie. And I again, it's not going to win awards or, necessarily be critically loved, but I think it's a great movie, and there's a lot of fun happening there. And it's just another wrinkle that he has in his toolkit. I love Denzel. I think he's phenomenal. And that's not obviously not something special for me to say. Everybody loves him, but he's one that is mainstream Hollywood. Critics love him. Audiences love him. That is also going to be on my list.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. There's no reason to argue it. That's right. He's really good.
All right, we've got Steve Zahn, we've got Viola Davis, we've got J.K. Simmons. Number 7, who do we got?
So for number 7, I'm very curious because I don't know if we've discussed this before. I have Adam Driver.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why?
Are you conflicted?
I think he's ashamed that he's from Indiana, so that makes me not care for him.
I don't think so. What have you heard him say disparaging things?
There's been a couple of interviews where he has talked about he was asked about Indiana or his thoughts on a certain thing, and he just kind of was like, that's behind me. Like, or something, it was something along those lines. I picked up something where I felt like and maybe I'm wrong, but but again, that really shouldn't play too big of a role in what we think. I mean,
sure,
he's done some pretty incredible work, but I want to hear why you think so.
Okay, well, yeah. He's just got a weird face.
Well, if we're checking off boxes, perfect.
I love an actor with a weird face.
Can't wait to see where Buscemi comes in.
Honestly, if here's what Steve Buscemi needs. He needs maybe it was Boardwalk Empire. Does he play it pretty straight in Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, he's like the main bad guy.
Okay, then maybe that's what maybe I need to watch Boardwalk Empire. Because I need him to have like a role where he's not just like a sidekick weirdo. I need him to be like a leading man, and then he would make my list. So it's my fault for not watching Boardwalk Empire. But anyway,
Adam Driver.
He's I do think he's very talented, and I do think he's done, he's not gonna actually, has he done any quirky comedies? I don't think so.
Adam Driver?
But I feel like he could.
Logan Lucky with
was that
Daniel Craig, and it's a heist to rob the NASCAR track.
Yeah. But that was, I guess it was a little offbeat, but like, I don't know. I just think he does have a significant amount of range. And it's honestly, for him, it's just every time I see him, he's so just attractive on screen. Like I love watching him. He just has this energy. I don't know. It just compels me because he does look so weird. He's got a strong presence. He's I don't know. And also he's someone that I've like kind of followed his career, because like he started with like Girls or whatever. I'm sure he had roles before that, but like that's when I first knew him.
I feel like that's when he broke for most people. That was like
right. And then to go from like Girls to Star Wars, and then he was in this Jim Jarmusch movie Patterson, which I love. It's like really sweet indie movie. It's not even that sweet. It's kind of weird, but he plays a sweet character. And then Marriage Story, which I thought was great, despite the fact that I hated the script. He was great in it. I don't know. I just, he's a weirdo. He's a Hoosier, whether he likes it or not. And I don't know. Sometimes I hate Indiana too. So
no, that's fair. I mean, I get that. Yeah. He is really good in a lot of the stuff that he's in. I guess I also just haven't watched a ton of his stuff. Like he hasn't, I feel like he's still kind of on the ascent a little bit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just have like a tremendous body of work, but what he has done so far, I think is pretty good. I think he's just become so it's interesting to try to see him away from Star Wars, because that is just to what really catapulted him. And it's like, nah, he's done some interesting stuff. Logan Lucky, I did not love. It felt like Steven Soderbergh was trying to make a Coen Brothers movie, so it was just a little off.
Oh yeah.
But there were parts of it that were enjoyable, and he played like this dumb redneck, and it was the accent choice, the delivery of lines, just playing a doofus. It was enjoyable. I think you would enjoy it just to watch him.
He really commits, and I think another notch on his belt or whatever, is that a phrase? is
it is, but not. I don't think it's what you want it to mean.
Does that mean sexual partners?
Yeah.
Okay.
And another person he hooked up with was
I don't know what is the. It doesn't matter. Another notch on his belt is that he's
Another feather in his cap.
Feather on his cap. He was great on. He's a great SNL host, and that's something you need to consider. Are we? Yes.
That is a great criteria. I had criterion I hadn't thought of.
Yes. Now I'm like, wait, but most of my people haven't even.
Same.
Yeah.
And the ones that have, they were good.
Yeah.
Dang, that's really good. We could do top 5 hosts of SNL. That's another episode.
Oh yeah, we already did an SNL draft.
Yeah, that was a draft.
Oh, that's probably okay. Anyway,
okay.
You're number 8 or 7 or whatever.
7.
Okay.
My number 7. When you talk about range, I think she is one of the best. Just the range and the breadth of characters that she has played. I first saw her in, I guess it would have been Legend of Bagger Vance back in like 2000. With she was the love interest. It was Matt Damon and Will Smith. Charlize Theron is just such a phenomenal actor when it comes to when you talk about committing. You know, I know. Oh, she shaved her head for a role. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a physical commitment. But when you take somebody that could have easily taken the roles of, you know, the blonde bombshell or the pretty leading lady, like I think she played a little bit of that starting out, you know, Cider House Rules opposite Tobey Maguire. But then she comes out in 2003 with Monster, where she plays Eileen Wuornos, and just totally, I mean, again, that's a lot of makeup and stuff that they do, but she really embodies that character. There's nothing likable about that character. And then she goes into, you know, she plays in Hancock, opposite Will Smith and Jason Bateman, a superhero movie, but it's kind of not. It's not like a Batman or a Marvel. It's its own kind of special category, I guess you could say, but really good in that. But what really blew my mind, besides Monster, was her turn as Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road. I think that movie is so underrated. I think it's one of the best movies in the last 20 years. And she is just so damn great. The way she commands a scene, the level of just pain in the screams that she has throughout that movie, the care that I mean, you feel every beat of that character in what is an action chase movie, but there's so much depth of character. And I think a lot of that is because of her. I absolutely love Charlize Theron.
I am very jealous and mad that I didn't think of her, because I also love her very much.
That's what I thought was going to happen when we did this episode. I was like, there's going to be people that I think of like, oh God, yeah. I can't believe I didn't think of, you know, like Steve Zahn right off the bat. I was like, oh, that's a great pick that I didn't even think of. But yeah. Charlize is pretty wonderful.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that she is integral to the Fast and Furious franchise with her bowl cut and her dreadlocks. But no, she is phenomenal. She is, God, she's very good. She's very good.
All right, let's round out the first top 5. We've got Steve Zahn, Viola Davis, J.K. Simmons, Adam Driver, just a lineup of lookers. What do we have at number 6?
And I'm gonna throw it back a bit to another crush of mine.
Oh, good.
Vincent Price.
What?
Who is wonderful.
Okay.
And first of all, talk about range, talk about length of career. We're talking all the way back from The Tingler, or Tingler as we called it as kids, to Edward Scissorhands. He's such a unique, interesting, his voice, his everything, the lore behind it. This is one where it's more so he's great on screen, but I also have such a deep love for him off screen. He was obsessed with hot dogs. He has a wonderful art collection you can go visit in Los Angeles. He was openly-ish bi. He's just tall. He's got that voice. I love everything about him. He's great. He's great. He's great.
That's an interesting pick, because I didn't really think to go back to old Hollywood very much. I haven't spent a lot of time with those types of movies. I know obviously you have.
I had to limit it. I have one other oldie, but yeah.
Yeah, the B movie or the horror type stuff has never really struck that big of a chord with me, but you can't deny the longevity. I will defer to you on Range. I assumed he was playing a very similar character throughout his career, being like a creepy, brooding character, but maybe not. But that's not to say it's still not great. And when you make it into pop culture the way he has, he has the thriller that is going to be his read, and thriller is going to be timeless. Also, the Marvel movies were, whatever you think about them, they have become just gigantic in pop culture. And Doctor Strange, the character, before movies, the comic book character was modeled after Vincent Price. The character literally is designed to look like him and to have his characteristics. That's pretty impressive to have that much of a print on what movies are being made.
I think his fingerprint is in a lot of places that you don't always expect. And not even he really, expanded outside of that horror movie niche from, old-timey horror movies. He's everywhere and he's iconic.
Okay. My number 6 for you, I've had Michael Pena, Tim Oliphant, Denzel Washington, Charlize Theron. I like that a lot of my picks are, you can just say one, Denzel and Charlize, you know who I'm talking about. This next one is not a mononym, unfortunately, with Gary being a first name. But
Busey?
Gary Busey, yes. If you didn't see the movie Black Sheep, he is phenomenal. Piggybacking off of what I said about Charlize, I think you can also say about Gary Oldman, in that Range is just, if you look up Range, it's him from everything he's been in. You look at the villains he's played, you look at the more indie stuff he's in. He was Drexel in True Romance, my favorite movie of all time. He played a dreadhead gangster. Leon the Professional, the villain. He's Sirius Black in the Harry Potter franchise. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I'm blanking on other stuff. He's been in so much stuff. The Darkest Hour, where he played Churchill. He just embodies so many different characters, and he's always just so great. He's one that just draws you in, to the point where he doesn't even have to look like him. Like, have you seen Hannibal? Sequel? And he's got like just this, it doesn't even look like him on Cordell. Like, the way he just can say some words is incredible. Gary Oldman is just, I think I have him ranked a little low, but I have some personal favorites of mine that I wanted to get. This is as high as I could push him while still being true to my top 5. Gary Oldman, all time.
He's a chameleon for sure. Not to distract from the topic of Gary Oldman, but I have a question for you, because I just realized when you said True Romance, I was having a conversation the other day, and I wanted to reference True Romance, but I forgot the name, and I was like, I think it's called Layer Cake. What movie is Layer Cake?
Layer Cake is...
Are they similar at all?
No. Well, they have... No, not really. They have not layers. Layer Cake is more like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Okay.
Where there's or Magnolia, where there's all these different stories and characters happening, and they're all kind of intertwined somehow.
Okay.
Layer Cake is Daniel Craig and Sienna Miller. Who else? A successful cocaine dealer gets 2 tough assignments from his boss on the eve of his planned early retirement. Tom Hardy's in it. Michael Gambon, the better Dumbledore's in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not related in any way to
It
True
makes
Romance.
sense because I was talking to my friend Alex, and he kind of looked at me like, "You don't know what you're talking about." I was like, I don't remember. Never mind. Okay, I'll text him now and tell him I meant True Romance. Anyway, Gary Oldman is great. I mean, Sirius Black, that's enough for me being my age and my demeanor.
Mhm.
That's what I'm into. But no, he has other great. Oh, he was in Dracula, the Dracula one.
He was Dracula, Fifth Element. He's the main bad guy in Fifth Element.
Oh my
Opposite
God, yes,
Bruce
he
Willis.
is.
I mean, he's been
Everywhere.
so much for
Yeah.
so long.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Good choice.
All right.
Yeah.
That was the official top 5, although yours aren't technically ranked. I guess
Mine
honestly
sucks
for this one, the
because
ranking.
my top 5 is not representative of me at all. But oh well.
Well,
I'm so dumb.
does it have to be representative of you? I mean, if these are your favorites, but
They
I guess
are.
also doesn't have to be. This is one list where I don't know that the ranking is as necessary as others. Like the difference between my 1 and my 2, or my 3 and my 7 are so razor thin.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I do love all of these people very much, but probably they should be reversed. It doesn't matter. So
All right, number 5. Who do we have?
well, yeah, undeniably, this is a great actress, so there's no point even debating it. Kate Winslet.
What? Okay, let's hear it.
I'll never speak to you again if you don't like her.
I love Kate Winslet. I'm joking.
Okay, good. I figure as much. She I can't even put it into words. She blows me away. I love that her accent work isn't even all that good all the time. Like when her real accent slips in, I'm like, yes, I want that. I don't even care that she's bad at her like American accent or whatever.
I love Adam Driver because he's got a weird face. Kate Winslet is not really good at what she does. Let me think.
I love nuance. I don't know. It's just those little things really get to me.
I'm with you.
She's just Revolutionary Road, freaking Mayor of Easttown. I mean, do I even have to say Titanic? We're not going to talk about the Woody Allen films. She is
Sure.
so everything. Her hair, her skin. I love everything about her. She's wonderful.
I do have, I don't know if this stood out to you because I didn't think it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed a little Hallmarky. Is it The Last Holiday or just The Holiday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is also a really great movie, by the way.
I enjoyed it. I remember being annoyed because they always listed as a Christmas movie. I maintain that it is not a Christmas movie at all. It may be at Christmas time, but there's nothing Christmassy about it anyway.
Yeah.
I thought she was wonderful in that. I thought she was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. She's a talent. And she just has like, you're gonna make fun of me. She has a strong face. Her face just looks strong to me.
I get that. I'm not gonna make fun of you.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I mean, for a really dumb opinion like that, I agree. No, I know what you mean. There's just it's maybe not great for podcasting when you say like, I don't know how to put this into words. Well, that's what we're going for here. But there are indefinable qualities. There are intangibles that really draw you into what makes an actor as great as they are.
Yeah, it's star quality, and you can't really articulate that, and she of course has it. I mean,
there's one that maybe you'll understand this, the relation that made me think of it. He didn't make my top 10, but he could have on a different day, let's be honest. Anthony Hopkins.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, from one role, I mean, I know he's done a hell of a lot more than just Hannibal Lecter, but that one role is just so phenomenal. He's another one where his accent will there's a little Welsh in there that he can't quite cover up. And there's just something that draws you in. There's just like little ticks of the character that make it feel real. So when you say that about Kate, I kind of feel that way about, I have felt that way watching Anthony Hopkins and stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right. My number 5 for you is, I think I put a premium on range because here's another one that I feel like is pretty rangy in the stuff that he's been in, but he always knocks it out of the park. Bit of a character actor, kind of not. Vincent D'Onofrio is my number 5.
Okay. Wow. A little surprised, but I can't deny that. Okay.
When you have, Private Pile from Full Metal Jacket.
Okay, yes. I'm trying to think now because I only ever think of him in Men in Black, but
He's
I know he's done
Edgar
more.
he's Edgar the Bugman. Is that better? Like, he's that guy. He's Kingpin, Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil series, which is just so unbelievably good as the villain in that series. I know it's comic booky, I know it's mainstream, but I can't help it. He is just he makes that series. His turn as Wilson Fisk and the depth of character that they give, what could be just very broad, which that character has been broadened before, is just really, really good. He's played like the straight man. He was, in the breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, he played the older brother. Like, he was just,
Oh, whoa.
he can
Okay.
just kind of fit into something like that. And then he'll do something totally offbeat, like a movie I'm sure you haven't seen. Maybe you have Salton Sea with Val Kilmer back in like 2002.
No, I've meant to watch it because I've been to the Salton Sea, but no.
So Vincent D'Onofrio plays a meth head and meth dealer in that, and he's insane. Like, it's unreal just how good he is in some of these crazy ass roles. But yeah, he's just always really, really great. I didn't watch his TV series. I know he was on a procedural. He might have been Law and Order, one like Criminal Intent, or one of those procedurals. I didn't really get into that, but just his film work is just so good.
I've heard other people sing the praises of him, and again, I'm a little bit ignorant, but I think I should probably give myself a homework assignment and spend some time with him because I can't disagree with everything that you said. And from what I've seen, he does seem great. And the fact that someone can be that guy in Men in Black and also have like a reputable acting career, like, clearly there's something there because
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. These people that we're picking for our lists are precious items. You go talk to a baseball card collector, he can tell you about this guy's rookie year. He batted 270. He did this, he did that. And you're like, that's great. I've heard of Derek Jeter though, so you've seen him in Men in Black, but if you didn't see him as Kingpin, if you didn't see him as Private Pile, if you didn't see him, just like all these other roles, like when you have Viola Davis, like I know her from, The Help and from, How to Get Away with Murder. But if you've seen her in all her other layered roles, because she's a favorite, you're gonna have that. So have you ever seen Full Metal Jacket?
I have, yes.
Those first 20 minutes, man. That's another one of those, like, I don't know who could have played that. Like, I don't know who could have done that better. Who could look that vulnerable and helpless and then that unhinged is, it's good. Okay, so we had Kate Winslet at number 5. Who do we got at number 4?
Okay, so I've talked about this with you before. This is an actor who I think has been unfairly maligned, and
Dane Cook was great in Employee of the Month. Yeah, I agree.
Waiting is underrated. And it
is.
Also, he made the news yesterday by getting engaged to Jennifer Lopez. Ben Affleck.
What?
They're engaged again.
That's so interesting.
My pick or them getting engaged again?
I had already seen that. I have Google alerts for both of them. So that is interesting. Okay, tell me why Ben Affleck is your number 4.
So it's something that I, again, can't really articulate.
Great.
Goodbye. I understand that it's like, he's got like frat boy vibes, maybe from Boston. Like there's a lot of negative connotations to just his basic identity.
Mhm.
However,
You can't hate somebody based on their fan base.
right.
Like,
I mean,
see,
you
sorry,
can, but you have to acknowledge that's why you hate them.
Sure.
And honestly, like his close association with Kevin Smith is a bit of a turnoff too. Although if you had talked to Melinda at 16, Kevin Smith was her favorite, you know, like things
Sure.
change. But I do think Chasing Amy is so good. And I mean, his Good Will Hunting is so good. And he does a lot of just sort of like mid-range, mid-budget stuff that people don't probably know about, that is not like the greatest movie of all time, but I just like, did you watch The Tender Bar?
I haven't yet, but it is on
It's
my list. It's on Prime, I believe, on my list to
okay.
watch or whatever.
You're like, as a movie, sure, whatever, it's fine, but like he's so good in it. And like Jersey Girl, he's so good. And like I also, again, like outside of the films, I think he's just like he just has this like sadness to him of like, he's had like open like struggles with like alcoholism in his marriages, and like he just seems like a really sad, complicated dude. And then and like the Batman of it all, it's just, he's had a very strange career. A very strange career. And I don't know, but there's something about him that I don't know. I want him to take care of himself. And I
Sure.
just kind of, I don't know. I think of him as, I don't know, something about him I just love.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I probably feel a similar way about Matt Damon. You know, obviously those guys
Mhm.
are pretty attached at the hip based on their careers and coming up together
Yeah.
and all that. But Ben Affleck, I think, to me, is a tremendous actor, but I would probably put him not in my top 5, but I would consider him for my top directors. The movies that he has directed, Gone Baby Gone, The Town. I mean, there's some really good stuff that he's done. Argo, you know,
And that's
Oscar
funny.
winning.
Like, I love him for his like not like prestige stuff, but he does have, you're right, he does have the prestige stuff. He has Argo, he has, you know, The Town, all that stuff.
And he has Armageddon. Like he's got the mainstream, and he's got a lot of it. And I think there's probably a level of, because he was real, like I firmly believe that because Matt Damon played Goodwill, or he played Will Hunting, and then Ben Affleck played Chucky, that people assumed that Matt Damon wrote Goodwill Hunting and Ben Affleck was Chucky and just along for the ride. I really think people had that thought or assumption based on the characters they played. He's such a good, just dopey Boston jock, you know, kind of like you said, like he's got that frat boy, you know, aura about him, that when he does the more prestige stuff or the more in-depth stuff, like when he's in The Accountant, I don't know if you saw that one. That's a really good one. There's a bit of everyman to that. Like he's got star quality, but he's also got this, you know, I don't want to say vulnerability, but like this fallibility about his character that makes him endearing, and I think kind of draws you in a bit. I agree with that.
Endearing, that's the right word. And I guess, and for some reason, I think just over the years, like maybe if you divorce Jennifer Garner, America's just going to hate you by default. But I feel like people just wrongfully just don't like him. But I think he's great.
Yeah. Okay. My number 4 for you is one where honestly I've seen a lot of her work, but not a ton. Like I wouldn't say I've seen all of it, but when we talk about batting percentage, just knocks it out of the park every single time. This is not a hot take. This is, I mean, I believe she is, like, if she's not the next Meryl, she's Meryl 2.0. But Frances McDormand for me is, you know, I first learned of her in 98 when she was the nun in Madeline. Like that's how she was introduced to me. But then you watch her and all the things that she's done since then. Go back and watch the old Coen Brothers stuff like Blood Simple. You watch her in stuff more recently, Nomadland, and you watch her in the Three Billboards movie. Overrated movie, but she was fantastic in that role. God, her Linda Litsky in Burn After Reading is so damn funny. And her as the mom in Almost Famous, I mean, everything she does is, I mean, she is just, I don't know. So many times you watch somebody and you're like, I don't know if they were perfectly cast or if they could have had somebody else or maybe somebody did a good job. You're like, but, you know, of course, you know, whoever would have done a better job, but they were able to get whoever. She's not Jennifer Lawrence or Amy Adams or like, you know, like prop up these kind of darlings a little bit, not to take away from them. I think they're great actresses too, but I don't know that she's ever been, you know, pushed at the forefront as being like this leading lady, but she is just unbelievably talented in everything she does.
Yes, she is. You're not going to believe that she's not on my list, but I know.
I assume she was your number one or number two. We just hadn't gotten there yet.
I know. And she absolutely should be. And earlier today, I had my list kind of formulated, and I was looking up Oscar winners just to see like, okay, there's probably someone I'm forgetting that I need to put on here. And I saw her name and I was like, how I can't not have her on here. But there was no one.
You got to be true to you.
Huh?
You got to be true to you.
Yeah, I can't, like, I can't get rid of Steve Zahn. Even though, of course, Frances McDormand is, well, I can't even say that. Like, I don't want to, they're incomparable, you know? Sure. She is wonderful. And I definitely, it's an off-screen thing too. The fact that she like never wears makeup to the Oscars and is just very genuinely, you know, feminist. It means a lot to me. I know you can roll your eyes, but it is, you know, and she, not to give her all the credit because Lord knows it wasn't her, but like she really started that conversation of the inclusion rider that year at the Oscars, as like tides are changing and representation in media is changing, and she's sort of at the forefront for that. I think she's a very important figure as far as off camera goes. That being said, on camera, she is everything and more. Like Fargo, I love her.
Yeah, I didn't even mention Fargo, but yeah.
Like I noticed that. I was like, wait, we didn't even talk about Fargo. Yeah, no, she's wonderful.
Oh, man, it's just hit after hit after hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I cannot wait for you to absolutely roll your eyes at my number three. So let's get to your number three. We've got Steve Zahn, Viola Davis, J.K. Simmons, Adam Driver, Vincent Price, Kate Winslet, Ben Affleck. I'm trying to think of what kind of movie you can make with all of these guys. Who do we have at three?
You're gonna roll your eyes at my top three. I have Sarah Paulson.
Okay. No, yeah.
I'm wondering how you feel about her, only because I'm sure you haven't seen American Horror Story. No. There's a lot of what she's done that you haven't seen, but you've seen, like, I'm sure, images of her in her roles, because she's like a GIF queen or whatever. You can GIF Sarah Paulson very easily. And she just, it's not even about range, even though every iteration of American Horror Story, she does have, you know, a pretty unique character she plays. Outside of the American Horror Story universe, I think her performances are a little more nuanced and legitimate. She's just a very intense actress, and I really appreciate that. And I just, something about, I don't know, she's got this like upper lip that's like the same size as her bottom lip.
You're really
If
into
you,
faces today, man. Like,
that's they're actors. You're looking at them, but
yeah,
it's
that's
something
true.
about her mouth that I'm very, very drawn to, and it's because her upper lip is the same size as her bottom lip, and it's a very unique look. Um, and I don't know. I want to talk about how great she is in Blue Jay and all this American Horror Story stuff, but you haven't seen it, so I'm just encouraging everyone to just spend some time with Sarah Paulson. It's worth it. I promise.
No, I get that. Yeah, American Horror Story is not my vibe. I also don't like scary stuff. So, and I'm
Mhm.
sure it's, just very scary, the American Horror Story. I loved her in American Crime. Is it American Crime Story or American Crime? Whatever it is. She
Oh, yeah.
played, it was the O.J. Simpson and then and she played Linda Tripp and
Yeah.
in the Clinton Lewinsky stuff. And I thought she was
It's
great in that. I want to say she's been in some
phenomenal.
other stuff too that I've seen. But you're right. A lot of the more noteworthy stuff she has been in,
Hmm.
I've missed. But that I wouldn't roll my eyes at that. I want to say there was
Um,
something else she was in. Who played? I don't know. She was in Deadwood. I remember
oh, she
that.
was.
Yeah, way back in the day. So anyway,
Oh,
all
she
right.
was in 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah,
Notable
that
performance.
was more noteworthy.
And
The
Holland
post,
Taylor.
her boo.
Hmm. Hollywood power
Um,
couple.
um, so maybe you won't roll your eyes at my number three. We'll see. To recap, I've had Michael Pena, Timothy Oliphant, Denzel Washington, Charlize Theron, Gary Oldman, Vincent D'Onofrio, Frances McDormand, which leads me to my number three. And I think maybe this is hyperbole, but I think he is the most talented person in Hollywood. In that, I think he might be the most well-rounded. I think he can sing, he can dance, he's funny, he's done stand-up, he can act, he's a mimic, his impressions are incredible. My number three is Jamie Foxx. I think he is just
Wow.
absolutely a phenomenal performer. When you look at Ray, his Oscar-winning role that same year, he was in Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jada Pinkett. I think that role was just so underrated that year in his career because he's gone on to do amazing things as well. Django Unchained is another one I think is one of the best movies in the last 20 years. I think his
Uh-huh.
role as Django was just he got to be the leading man in a western. And he said he had like the dumb 90s comedy type
Mhm.
movies, started in stand up, Jamie Foxx show.
Right.
um there's just an aura about him, like on screen I think kind of speaks for itself, but even the off screen, like what I have to watch every interview he does because
He's
he might do his Robert Downey Jr. impression, or he might do his Dave
mhm.
Chappelle impression. I mean, he can mimic anybody and everybody. He's always got a great story. um love Jamie Foxx.
This is very eye-opening because I was surprised at first because in my world I really only know him from Jamie Foxx show because I didn't watch Ray because I don't really care. I didn't watch Django Unchained because I hate Quentin Tarantino, and I just I haven't really watched him in these roles that have really pushed him over the edge. But I also will watch his interviews, and he is very, and as just as a comedian, I think he's a great guy. So I don't think of him as this like prestige actor, which that's my fault. Yeah, but he kind of can do it all. That is interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I'm shocked, but I'm convinced.
If you have, I mean, I don't think you would like Django Unchained,
No, I'm
but if
not.
you
It's
and you can skip that. If you were to watch Collateral,
mhm.
I think you would enjoy it. It's not a typical movie. I don't know that you would. Obviously, you wouldn't seek it out on your own, or you probably would have done that by now.
Mhm.
Um, but his role as I think his name's Ray in that movie too. Anyway,
Okay.
Tom Cruise is the villain, which it's like the only movie he's ever been a villain in.
Mhm.
And the lighting, it's just a good movie, but Jamie Foxx in the lead role is just so good. All right, number
Okay.
two and number one. I am really surprised. I've been able to guess maybe a couple of yours, and that's kind of it, which is kind of cool. I like that. And I really have no idea what to expect for number 2 or number 1, especially since you said Franny McD is off the table. So number
That hurts
2,
my heart.
number 2, do we have?
Number 2 is another old school Hollywood. I love old Hollywood thanks to our father. And there are many names that I wanted to put on my list that it would be a boring, it would be a boring episode because I'd be going on about, Gary Cooper and Jimmy Stewart,
yeah.
Barbara Stanwyck, and everyone's like, we don't know who that is. But this is someone that maybe people don't know who she is, but I'll tell you a little bit about her and you will appreciate the wonder that is Marlene Dietrich.
Okay.
Do you know anything about her?
Very other than old Hollywood.
Okay.
I honestly, when you said that there was one more old Hollywood, I thought it was going to be Judy Garland.
Oh no,
I didn't.
It'd be Bette Davis before it'd be Judy Garland. I'm kidding.
I don't know. I would not have guessed Marlene Dietrich though. Let's talk about it.
So Marlene Dietrich, first of all, her career spans from like truly 1910 or 20, like early. Yes, like
old.
Early, yes, through like 60s, maybe even 70s. She has a very long career. The main thing about her is she slept with everyone in Hollywood. She stole everyone's husband and everyone hated her. She had affairs with literally everyone she did a movie with. Jimmy Stewart, Gary Cooper, those are 2 people she had affairs with and their wives hated her. And she was openly bisexual. She had many female relationships. And she would cross dress. She was very like gender queer. There's an iconic picture of her that a lot of people have seen. They probably just don't know it's Marlene Dietrich, where she's wearing like a top hat and a tuxedo. She's just gorgeous. And, she just is a very powerful energy and just the fact that she was openly queer at that time and just had such a lengthy career and did so many different, like she did, really dramatic stuff, really like fluffy rom-com stuff, just like she just did it all. And she's very impressive. I love her and she's gorgeous.
I would not have guessed that.
Not sold?
No, it's not that I'm not sold. I literally don't know that I've ever seen anything she's ever been in. So I mean,
probably not. If you don't watch movies from the 30s, because the 30s and 40s were probably the bulk of what she did. If you don't watch those, you're not going to know her, but it's worth it. She's great. So the talent is there on screen. Oh yeah, absolutely. I tend to focus off screen, but no, she's very talented on screen. It's hard because the acting styles from that time are so different than now. So if you aren't open to watching it or you aren't used to watching movies from that time, you're going to think this is boring and ridiculous. You kind of have to get yourself in that mode because they do talk differently and it's a different way of acting. You just kind of have to adjust. The biggest adjustment for me when I watch old movies like that, it's not necessarily when they talk like that. Mm-hmm. It's the no music. There's like horns, like at a weird, like a real suspenseful part or whatever. But soundtrack and score has become so important to movies, especially with me. Mm-hmm. Like to me, the music can make or break a movie in a big way. So when you watch those movies and it's just them doing stuff without sound, it's like there will be like a scene change with like a little that's like that's all you get. That's true. That is a big difference. She died in 92 at 90 years old, 1901 to 1992. Yeah, dude. Good Lord. She's a tough old broad. Okay. My number 2 for you, not as old as Marlene Dietrich. But when I look at childhood, when I look at adolescence, and when I look at adulthood now, outside of my number 1, I don't know that there's anybody who has touched me in such a way, comedically, heartbreak, sadness,
the complete scope of emotion that you can possibly have from one actor, I believe you can get from my number two. And that's Robin Williams.
Oh, wow.
When you take a look at, I mean, he was Genie, you know, and then he was Sean in Good Will Hunting, and he was Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, those are iconic things from childhood, and you know, Good Will Hunting maybe a little later on into adolescence. But everything he did was just so incredibly good. Good Morning Vietnam. You had a lot of those. He had some crummy '80s movies that didn't really hit, but even then, that was really good. When you go back and watch, just to watch him. 1 Hour Photo, to me, is one of the most underrated movies ever. I think his turn as Cy, the photo guy, is just, people don't talk about it, and they don't necessarily need to, because I think he's so beloved anyway. But when you talk about range, when you talk about just the unmitigated joy that he could bring to a role in being funny and being the like Jumanji, as just the pure joy, the pure fun that you had just with his smile and his wink of his eye was great. But then the tremendous sadness. I mean, he had roles that would just break your heart. And to talk about him in the past tense still kind of sucks, because he was just so wonderful. You know, you take a movie like 1 Hour Photo, where he's, you know, kind of a disturbed individual, and What Dreams May Come, where he's trying to get his wife back. And I don't know. There's just something about Robin Williams that will always be very near and dear to my heart.
Oh my God. And Jack.
And Jack.
With the red gummy bears.
Just talking about him. I mean.
Oh my God, dude.
I didn't know this was going to happen, but.
Yeah. That'll happen sometimes. Dude. I mean, no, it's an intense reality he was living, and an intense career that he had. Dude.
I still remember the first time I watched Good Will Hunting. You know, it came out in '97, so I was like, you know, 8 or 9 years old. And so I didn't see it when it first came out, but probably the early 2000s, I was a teenager. And the scenes with Matt Damon and him in the office, where it would just go back and forth. I have never, and still haven't to this day, been sucked into a movie where I forgot I was watching a movie, because it's just so good. And the park bench scene, where he's kind of just laying it out for him, and normally Will had a thing to say back to him, but he was just silent. I don't know. Robin Williams is my number two.
That movie is so good and underrated. And not underrated, it's accurately rated. But yeah, I just something about Robin Williams that I've always kind of like held him at arm's length. I think because there's an uncomfortability there, because of this like layer of sadness underneath everything, even before he died. Like, it's just, whenever someone like loses themselves so much into being a comedian and being a performer, you know that there's like something going on there.
Right.
And with him, I could always feel the something going on there. And that's what makes him such a great performer. But for me, maybe because I'm a very sensitive person, it was a little too intense for me. And like, I love Good Will Hunting, and I've wanted to rewatch it many times, and I kind of can't bring myself to do it. And I think I told you, when I went to Boston like a couple years ago, I went to the bench, but there was a lady sitting there with a stroller, and I just kind of was waiting for her to leave. I was kind of like awkwardly hovering, and she never left. So then I just left. But so I hate that lady very much. But yeah, I don't know. What Dreams May Come is so good. I haven't seen that in like 10 years probably. Damn.
Yeah.
Everything. God, yeah. Dude, Hook. Dude, yeah, he's really good.
He used so many people's childhood.
Oh yeah.
Beyond.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, we've reached the top.
I can't follow.
I gotta follow that. I gotta follow you. I'm sorry.
Mine is so bad. I will stand by it, but it is a horrible pick.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, might as well be. And I also know that you don't like this person, so it's
Good.
here we go. We're just gonna do it. I have a reason for this. My pick, I'll say number one, even though it's not, is Sarah Jessica Parker.
I don't have a problem with that.
I thought you don't like her.
No, she's fine. I
Okay.
am a little surprised that only because I don't know that I have seen her in anything outside of Carrie Bradshaw.
So here's the thing. I mean, she's done other stuff and it's been good. She was, Family Stone's good. First Wives Club's good. Even what she's in that dancing John Lithgow movie. Where he doesn't dance, he says don't dance. What's the one? Yes, she's in that, whatever. She has these film roles, but it's the Carrie Bradshaw. And what puts her on my list is And Just Like That. Because I endured what is unequivocally one of the worst seasons of television I have ever seen in my entire life. It was utterly insane garbage that it was painful to watch week after week, but I did it because we love the girls. But Sarah Jessica Parker, in every scene, I could watch her watch paint dry. I could watch her read the phone book. She is captivating. And every time I'm like, I hated this episode, but Sarah Jessica Parker was amazing. Like, she has something that is, it's indescribable. So it's more so the juxtaposition between how horrible that show was and how much she was able to save it, despite Kim Cattrall not being there, I can't even explain to you, as a Sex and the City fan, how horrible it was. But I loved it because she was so great. So that says everything you need to know about Sarah Jessica Parker.
Interesting. On record as saying my very first crush in the world was Sarah Jessica Parker.
I didn't know that. Why did I think you hated her? I don't know where that came from.
I'm not sure. I used to think my first crush was Drew Barrymore, but that's not true. She was my second crush, I believe. Okay. Number one was Sarah Jessica Parker as the Sanderson sister in Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yes.
Amok. Like,
I forgot. Yeah. No, she's great in that too.
So of your list, who would be your true number one?
Honestly, my true number one would be Frances McDormand, but she's not on my list.
So annoying.
No, honestly, my true number one might be Steve Zahn. Oh wait, sorry. There we go. My
Steve
true
Zahn's number one.
It might be Steve Zahn because he yeah, I think so. Either or Kate Winslet or Vincent Price. Those are the real top three. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. You didn't ruin the episode. It's fine. Like, okay. It's just funny the way it transpired. You're like, oh, I thought we were drafting.
Because we were doing more than 5, it made more sense to me. I don't know. Anyway, who's your number one?
My number one, we also lost in 2014, about 6 months.
I already know. Never.
It's no surprise to you, but the tremendous loss felt definitely matched Robin Williams for sure. Like I said, didn't help that they were like 6 months apart. We lost Robin in August of 14. This guy, Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2014. Philip Seymour Hoffman is just, I don't know that there's anybody that did a better job in their career of playing an absolute creep, a jerk, a mentor, a lovable caretaker, comic relief. I mean, you look at his role as Capote, which I did not care for because he so committed to the character that I couldn't stand the guy's voice because he sounded like Capote.
Mhm.
You take a look at that. You take a look at his role in The Master, one of his many collaborations with Paul Thomas Anderson, one of my favorite directors. And then you take a look at him in Twister, when he's like the goofy, rowdy, like, let's go, guys. Like,
Mhm.
there's just something offbeat about him enough that I just adored him. And I think definitely my favorite role of his was Lester Bangs in Almost Famous, the Rolling Stone writer. Uh, Such a great role. There wasn't a lot to it, but he got so much out of it when he was on screen and when he's on the phone with the main character. Um, a lot of the indie film, I mean, he did big budget stuff. I mean, he was the bad guy in Mission Impossible 3. I mean, he was in Hunger Games. He played Plutarch Heavensby, great name.
Mhm.
So he did the big budget stuff, but it's kind of like one of those one for me, one for you kind of sitches where, it's like the Johnny Depp style. Like, yeah, I'm going to do a Pirates movie, but then I'm going to do a real weird thing just because I like it.
Yeah.
Love Liza, just an incredibly sad movie.
Mhm.
Battling addiction, owning Mahoney, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, which is unfortunately not a good movie, but when you've got him, Marissa Tomei, and Ethan Hawke, that's a great,
Oh yeah.
just a murderer's row of actors.
Yeah.
Again, on certain days, I'd probably put Robin Williams number one. Hell, I could put Morgan Freeman number one, who didn't even make my top 10.
Oh
Um,
yeah. He was one I
but
just assumed he would.
but Philip Seymour Hoffman is the one I feel the most gutted by, in that
Mhm.
it's very selfish. We got so much from him, and all I can think about is, God, what could he have done in the last 8 years? What
Mhm.
roles would he have taken? What new range would he have shown? Yeah, number one, very, very good.
He would make my list, but again, I was thinking as a draft, I was like, well, I'm gonna let Adam have him, so I didn't even put him on my list. But he would make my list too. I love him very much as well. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Yeah.
So we've talked about a couple of honorable mentions. Who didn't quite make your draft board?
Well, there's one, I think, when you were talking about Denzel and how, like, you sometimes you think like, oh, I'm just seeing Denzel every time, but if you really take a closer look at it, you're not. That's how I feel about Steve Carell. He really is a phenomenal actor.
He really is. That's
Yeah.
such a good point.
Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see like he's kind of the same in every role, but not really. Like if you look at, his obviously Michael Scott, what a commitment. Dan in Real Life, he's another one where he can do sad, funny, like, and he can also do real drama. In Beautiful Boy, he plays, Timothy Chalamet's, dad, and it's very, very sad, and he's
Little
very,
Miss
very good at it.
Sunshine.
Yep.
It was very
Yeah.
dark.
So Steve Carell, today is Kristen Stewart's birthday, and it's so unfortunate that we have to deal with the fact that she started with Twilight,
Right.
but she really is good. And eventually, the years will go by and we can just completely forget about it, and she'll get the recognition. If she already has the recognition, she was nominated, but she's very good. She is.
Who else?
Meryl, Clooney, the big names that of course you acknowledge, but they just, us personally don't, there's John Turturro.
Yeah.
I love him.
Basically,
I
just
loved him.
the Coen brothers roster.
Yes, pretty
Give me
much.
Stephen
Yeah.
Root, give me George Clooney, give me John Turturro, give me Tim Blake Nelson, Frances McDormand. Like their roster is great.
How do you feel about John C. Reilly?
Oh, he's great. Love
That's
John
what
C.
I was.
Reilly.
I was kind of waiting for him to show up on your list, but I wasn't sure.
He hasn't done enough outside of the Will Ferrell dumb stuff. Like he's done some great work.
Yeah.
But not enough. Like he was really good in Chicago as the Cuck. He was
Dewey
really
Cox.
good. Dewey Cox is really funny.
Really good.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
He was in, what's the Paul Thomas Anderson movie with the poker? What's that called?
Poker?
Oh, damn it. It's got an old guy in it and Gwyneth Paltrow. It's like his first movie. I watched it not long ago.
I'm not good at this. I don't know.
I'm pulling it up. This is great podcasting.
Well, that's okay. Well, you pull it up. I'm gonna
Heart
just
8.
say-
Heart 8.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the lead in that before like anybody knew who John C. Reilly was. Yeah, he's good. Anybody else?
Brian Tyree Henry.
Yep.
And well, this is kind of weird, but Rick Moranis.
Sure.
Only because he's such a little goofy weirdo, and once he like had a kid, he was like, I'm just kind of done with acting. I'm gonna go back to Canada, raise my child. And then now he's like, okay, I'm ready to start acting again. Like, he's just a cool dude, I think. And then
Sure.
Vin Diesel. But
I was a little curious if he was going to make the list. I'm surprised he didn't, but I'm glad you got to mention him.
He's had enough airtime with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's good. He is good.
A few that I have already touched on: Samuel L. Jackson, Morgan Freeman,
Yeah.
Stephen Root, J.K. Simmons. I had written down.
Stephen Root.
Paul Giamatti, I think is pretty great. He's also a part of the frat pack, but Vince Vaughn. He's got his shtick, but I enjoy that repartee that he has.
Okay. All right.
I think it's funny. He's done some bad stuff, but the stuff like Swingers and Next and Wedding Crashers, like, yeah, it's all real broy, but I enjoy it. I enjoy his character, his shtick that he does. I think it's
okay. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't crap on anything you said, so just.
And I'm only crap. What? Go ahead, crap. Who do you not like?
Let's start with 10 through 1, okay? Margot Martindale. I wanted to give a shout out. She's one that for me, she hasn't done enough. Like she probably has done enough. I haven't seen her in enough stuff, but every time I've seen her in something, really good. She was one of the villains in one of the seasons of Justified. She's great. She plays like mom's redneck hillbilly in the holler. And she plays a great, I don't know, it's not like a mafia boss, but it's like their version of like a mafia boss where she kind of runs the stuff. And Lakeith Stanfield, I think, is another one that I haven't seen in enough stuff, but every time I see him in something, man, I don't think you liked it or you didn't see it. Did you see Uncut Gems?
I did, yes.
His role in that is one of the most believable roles I've ever seen anybody play. Like, I genuinely felt his hatred and anger to the Adam Sandler character.
Yes.
Like, he was really, really good in that. And he's been great in a lot of the stuff he's been in.
He is very great. He almost made my list as well. Looking at the person off screen, I don't know how I feel about him. He's got some
Does he have issues? I don't know him personally. I mean, I don't know his off-screen stuff. Like, does he have bad stuff? His
persona is very like postgraduate film school, like very postmodern weirdo, like artist, like not in a cool way, in a very off-putting, like early 20s kind of person way. But how old is he? He's not, I think he's like maybe late 20s, because I think I looked it up. Because the things he was 41. Saying in interviews, the things he was saying in interviews, I was like, this sounds like a college freshman. Like, what are you talking about?
He's 30. He'll be 31 in August.
Okay, yeah. I just he's a bit obnoxious, I think, but that could just be, I don't know. But he's a great actor. I love him in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I think that's about all I've got for now.
I mean, there's tons, but those were had to shout those out.
All right. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Sarah Jessica Parker. We both had 3 names as our final one, our top one. My cat is chewing on the cord. All right, we'll go ahead and end it there. We'll probably do another top 5 here in another year when we can finally wrap up
Yeah.
our next fun one. And we will talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.